There's a pattern in history, a rhythm that repeats across centuries. It builds empires, crowns superpowers, and then quietly buries them. 500 years ago, it broke Spain. A century ago, it took Britain. 30 years ago, it erased to Soviet Union. Now the question isn't whether the United States will follow, it's whether this time, for the first time, humanity can break the cycle. Because maybe collapse isn't destiny. Maybe it's a decision. Part 1. How the pattern begins. Every empire starts the same way, not with war, but with belief. Belief in its own permanence, belief that power can't fade, that resources will always flow, that tomorrow will reward today's excess. Spain believed that when silver poured from the New World. Britain believed it when its navy ruled the oceans. The Soviet Union believed it when it matched America missile for missile. What belief doesn't prevent gravity, it only delays the fall. Historians have traced the same sequence, 7 stages that every superpower walks through. Stage 1, military overreach. Stage 2, currency debasement. Stage 3, death spiral. Stage 4, loss of productivity. Stage 5, social decay. Stage 6, reserve currency erosion. Stage 7, collapse. It's not prophecy, it's repetition, a loop of human behavior that feels inevitable only because no one learns fast enough to stop it. Part 2. Spain, the Empire of Silver. In the 1500s, Spain became the richest nation in the world. The galleons from the Americas brought back mountains of silver. Money seemed infinite, and so did ambition. Wars across 4 continents, fleets that never rested, promises that no treasury could keep. Half of Spain's income went to maintaining armies, and when that wasn't enough, they did what empires always do. They debased the currency. Silver coins became copper. Value dissolved. Inflation soared. 4 bankruptcies in 40 years, and still the spending continued. Spain had all the wealth in the world, and it destroyed them. Because when money is easy, work becomes unnecessary. Imports replaced industry, luxury replaced innovation, and when the silver mines slowed, the empire collapsed, hollowed out by its own comfort. The lesson? Wealth without discipline is decay in disguise. Part 3. Britain, the Empire of Credit. 3 centuries later, Britain ruled a quarter of the planet. The pound sterling was the global currency, the London bond the world's safest asset. But like Spain, Britain believed its reach was infinite. When World War I began, it chose power over prudence. The empire borrowed, thought, and bled itself dry. By the end, it owed more to America than it had ever owned of the world. Then came stage 2 again, currency debasement. To defend the pound, Britain cut wages, strangled its own economy, and when it finally abandoned the gold standard in 1931, the illusion shattered. 2 world wars later, the empire was gone. India independent, colonies fading. The pound, once the world's money, was now just another currency. Empires don't vanish overnight. They deflate, like balloons leaking pride instead of air. Part 4. The Soviet Union, the Empire of Control. If Spain fell to greed and Britain to debt, the Soviet Union fell to stagnation. 15% of its economy fed the military. Central planning smothered innovation. Oil masked decay until oil fell. When the ruble lost credibility, the system collapsed inward. No invasion, no external enemy, just exhaustion. Political, economic, spiritual. In 900 days, a nuclear superpower disintegrated without a single battle. That's what collapse really looks like. Not explosions, but silence. A bureaucracy that simply stops working. An army unpaid. A people unconvinced. Part 5. The United States inside the pattern. And now, the mirror faces us. The United States, with its 750 military bases, its trillion-dollar defense budget, its debt climbing past $36 trillion, stands at the same crossroads. Stage 1, military overreach? Check. Stage 2, currency debasement. The gold window closed in 1971 and money became paper. Stage 3, the debt spiral, borrowing to pay interest on borrowing. Stage 4, loss of productivity, factories gone, imports up, dependence deepening. Stage 5, social decay, division, distrust, and disengagement spreading faster than reform. Many say the pattern is already halfway complete. Others insist that technology, democracy, and innovation will rewrite the rules. They can't both be wrong, but they can both be right, depending on what happens next. Part 6. The debate: is collapse inevitable? When the original 7-stage collapse video went viral, millions of people didn't just agree, they argued. Some saw it as revelation. Others called it fear-mongering. A few said it was all scripted, that decline isn't accidental, it's engineered. And maybe that's the scariest part. The truth doesn't require a conspiracy. All it takes is momentum. When incentives reward short-term gains, when governments spend to win elections instead of time, when citizens trade discipline for comfort, no one has to plan the fall. It happens automatically. History is not rigged, it's repeated. Part 7. Stage 6. The unraveling of money. Every collapse reaches the same turning point, the moment when confidence in the currency erodes. For Spain, it was silver that became copper. For Britain, paper that lost its gold. For the Soviet Union, a ruble no one trusted. For the United States, it's not metal or paper, it's faith. The dollar still dominates global trade, but that dominance is no longer unquestioned. China, Russia, and BRICS nations are experimenting with alternatives. Central banks are buying gold. Allies are diversifying. This doesn't mean the dollar is dead, far from it, but the seed of doubt has been planted. And empires don't collapse because everyone loses faith at once. They collapse because enough people stop believing quietly. Part 8. Why empires fail. The human loop. If this pattern keeps repeating, maybe it's not the system that fails, maybe it's us. The stages aren't random, they mirror human psychology. Stage 1, ambition. Stage 2, entitlement. Stage 3, denial. Stage 4, distraction. Stage 5, division. Stage 6, disillusion. Stage 7, dissolution. It's the life cycle of success itself, from focus to arrogance to decay. And that means breaking the cycle isn't about changing governments or currencies. It's about changing behavior. About learning when to stop expanding, when to save, when to rebuild trust before it runs out. Part 9. Could this time be different?
For the first time in history, the entire world is watching an empire decline in real time, on screens, in markets, in memes. Information spreads faster than reform. That's dangerous, but also hopeful, because awareness changes everything. If we can recognize the pattern, maybe we can redirect it. Japan rebuilt after war. Germany reindustrialized from ruins. Even Britain, after losing its empire, reinvented itself as a financial hub. Collapse doesn't have to mean the end. It can be the reset that forces innovation. But only if the society facing it chooses truth over denial. Part 10. The Modern Dilemma.